Jim Carrey stars as successful businessman Mr. Popper, who inherits a flock of penguins when his eccentric dad passes away.
I have a pest problem.
You need marine and waterfowl.
Try NYC sanitation.
He soon finds his world is turned upside down when he discovers he is unable to rid himself of the birds as they start taking over his apartment and his life.
Penguins, yes!
After his estranged family grows attached to the penguins, Mr. Popper becomes compelled to protect them as an evil zookeeper tries to remove them from his home.
Why are you hitting yourself? Huh? Why are you hitting yourself?
Mr. Popper's Penguins blends live action and CGI to create a comedy about discovering the importance of family and friends of a feather. But it does seem there have been a lot of books recently in the past 5 years adapted from children's novels to movies. Anyone have any favorites?
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
No, that was great. Anything Roald Dahl is amazing.
Yeah? Any favorites?
Oh, Willy Wonka.
Polar Express for me.
Well, on the subject of children's novels that have been turned into movies, that brings us to this week's film, which is Mr. Popper's Penguins, which is liberally adapted from the book by Richard and Florence Atwater. We've all just seen it, including Travis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Salim, get us started.
Taking from the book liberally is being very nice. Mr. Popper's Penguins stars Jim Carrey as Mr. Popper, a slick real estate broker who is very desperate to reconnect with his family, finally getting the opportunity when 6 penguins are introduced into his life. Shenanigans ensue, and everybody loves each other by the end.
Yeah, I mean, the script takes a lot of things for granted. Like, I don't know what Mr. Popper does. I don't know why he got divorced.
Was he a lawyer? Was he
I
a
have
real
no
estate agent?
idea.
I didn't understand
I have
that.
no
Yeah.
clue.
Some
He
sort
just
of
had a
hybrid,
lot
I
of
think.
money.
Yeah.
That's all we needed to know about.
But there are a few sweet, dialogue exchanges, and the script has enough panache for some genuine interactions. So I wouldn't fault it too heavy, but I agree, it's lacking, for sure. It's underwritten.
All right, so can you name those penguins?
Can I get all 6?
Yes.
Lovey, Nimrod, Bitey, Captain, Loudy, and Stinky.
6 penguins?
It's good counting, Billy.
Do they have names?
This one's Captain.
And that's Loudy.
Hey! Bitey. One's Stinky.
He loves me.
No, that's Lovey.
And that's Nimrod.
Well, the emotional premise of this movie is absolutely obnoxious. How many times in a movie are we going to have a selfish, sort of divorced father who, has a terrible relationship with his ex-wife and his kids, but through some sort of gimmicky second act element, he's able to rekindle a relationship with both of them.
Well, and even more importantly, he's able to find what the true spirit of life and living is, which we've seen many times before, including in Liar Liar, which is, Jim Carrey's last great movie in my estimation.
Yeah, I mean, you got The Parent Trap, you got All I Want for Christmas, 2012.
But I like all those movies. Well, I don't like 2012, but I like all the rest of the movies the two that you
But
mentioned.
what kind of message are we sending? It's like, I mean, how often does that actually happen in real life?
It doesn't. It's Mr. Popper's Penguins. The title's absurd. I mean, it's not a realistic movie.
Well, that's the thing. It follows the narrative structure of every childish film, whereas the very thing that he despises, he comes to love.
This is a studio film, and it follows a very much studio route. And I feel like you said, that is a typical studio story thread, which like you said, it's kind of irresponsible.
I don't understand emotionally what these penguins are supposed to do. So are we basically saying that, we have this father, he has a terrible relationship with his kids, so he has penguins in his house, and then all of a sudden his kids love him again?
No. Penguins solve every problem you could ever have in life.
Kids, want to stay the night with your dad?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Right.
Well, what's the point of the penguins? They're surrogates for the family unit. He's projecting onto the penguins the traditional family roles. That's the point of it. I think they serve more than just placeholders for poop jokes.
Well, they're also the solution to every single problem you could have in life. There are some pretty huge plot holes in this movie. Characters sort of leave and come back in with no course or motivation, but it does have a surprisingly strained Jim Carrey in this film. How do we feel about his performance? Travis?
Jim, you could tell he's putting all his just innate energy into this character, and he's just wanting to unleash all that comedic magic that we're so used to of Jim Carrey. And we feel like, there's parts of it where he's just about to go off and just do what he does. But you can tell every time he's just about to unleash, they have to just cut him short.
Well, thank God they do. I think Jim Carrey's a megalomaniac, and I enjoy Truman Show, I enjoy The Majestic, but he goes hog wild in every role he has, and he just, it's too much for me. And I love that the director just said, calm down for a second and just take a minute.
I think he brings some much needed warmth to the movie. The hardest thing for me to watch was see this really gifted comedic performer really try to sell a role and a character that's really just not worth buying at all. It's a stock character, it's just kind of one note, and he does his best to breathe life into it. And I think there is a degree of warmth there. If the movie has a saving grace, I feel like it's Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey carries it.
What about the rest of the cast? There's some pretty big heavyweights here. Angela Lansbury, Philip Baker Hall.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about the rest of this cast?
Well, it's tough because you do have these great actors who are supporting Jim Carrey. The problem is that there's no meat on the bones of any of the characters that they're playing. So, you know, we get an Angela Lansbury, but she's playing a character that just has, like, no qualities that I really feel like you can wrap her head around.
But wasn't it great to see Angela Lansbury?
Just see her on the screen?
Just to
'Cause
look at her.
we could just film her in, like, a corner, and I feel like
I
you would
would
get the
watch
same
that.
experience.
You could have had, like, all the A-listers in the world in this. There's just no, it all goes back to the script. And there's just no real character, like, complexities or any of that. And there's just so, I felt bumper sticker stereotypes throughout the entire thing.
So, despite Liz's valiant efforts, I don't think there's any convincing the boys on this film. So, you know what? Let's take it to a vote. Would you mind taking your tickets, please? So, let's let the Rook take this one first.
Oh, okay.
Travis.
So if you're a 5-year-old kid, I would say go see it. But if you actually have any IQ, skip it.
It's a hoot for anybody 10 and younger. However, I feel most parents will be looking at Jim Carrey and saying to themselves, literally, what the hell happened? So for that, I'd have to give it a skip it.
Liz, the lone reed.
All right. Well, this is not the kind of movie I would ever make, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of latitude. I laughed, and that's more than I could say for Hop. So scream it.
Brian?
Look, the movie has some heart, and penguins are really cute, and that's why I highly recommend that you watch March of the Penguins again and skip this.
Wow. Well, that looks like a paltry partial pass from Mr. Popper's Penguins, which makes it a skip it. Cheers to that, I guess.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Cheerio.